What is up, everyone? Welcome inside the vault. My name is Sarah Ellison. Bobby Trossett, our usual co-host, is not in the house today. We know why. He's on his bye-week vacation in Banff, Canada. I've got some updates for you later on in quick hits or maybe a one more thing, whatever. Listen, I know I'm a little late. I see you in the comment section. Solo Sarah is late. It's true. Nonetheless, I still feel like it's a good day today. It's a good day today, and I don't even know why I'm starting to see the leaves outside turn gold and red, and it just feels good. I'm coming off of a workout. You know how sometimes you're on a high coming off of a workout? So guys, we're late, but it's going to be a good day, and we've got so much content to get to as we always do. So I hope you guys will stick around for the next hour and a half? Who knows? Who knows? Depending on the comment section today and the super chats, maybe longer. We'd like to keep it around 90 minutes, though. We'd like to keep it around 90 minutes unless the super chats go off today. But we are going to start off with reviewing John Harbaugh's press conference from yesterday. He spoke with reporters for over 30 minutes. Was quite a long time. And, you know, as it should be, he's going into a bye week. His team has only won one game, has lost 5. And it was very interesting. I found that most people reacted to his comments about Lamar Jackson and then also owner Steve Bisciotti. His Steve Bisciotti comments came unprompted, but there was a follow-up to that. A lot of people interpreting things the way they want to, but I kind of wanted to look into and just what does John Harbaugh mean by some of these comments that he's got on Lamar Jackson and the owner Steve Bisciotti, his boss. He also talks a lot about changes that could be coming throughout the bye week, and we're going to try to speculate if some of that is coach speak or if there could be some real changes going on. Later in the show, we're going to talk about the AFC North drama that's going on between all 4 coaches. All coaches talking about the Browns move and them trading Joe Flacco over to the Bengals. Let me tell you something. Mike Tomlin ripped. He ripped the Browns and their GM, Andrew Berry, for that move. And part of it might be because the Steelers have the Bengals coming up on Thursday night. I don't think Mike Tomlin was very happy with this move. So I've got all 4 coaches talking about the move and how surprising it was. Later on, we're going to get into what happened with Monday Night Football with the Bills and another game there. Also, some Terrell Suggs video has surfaced from TMZ. Remember, he was arrested a while back and pled guilty. And there was a report that he had brandished a gun while going through a Starbucks drive-thru. So we're going to take a look at that. We've got a gazillion quick hits. And like I said, we'll do one more thing talking about Bobby and some of his bye-week updates from Banff, Canada. I'm a little jealous. Listen, I'm super happy to be here with you guys. But Banff, Canada looks absolutely gorgeous right now. I might have to make sure that I go check that out at some point. So let's get started into reviewing this press conference from yesterday with John Harbaugh. Just a couple notes off the top, just that we have our thoughts with us. He did explain that I was wondering with the bye week, sometimes he gives the players a whole week off, sometimes he doesn't, and it sometimes feels like it is based on how well they're doing. Sometimes when they're off to a great start, he'll give them a whole week off, whereas the coaches will stay in and kind of look at their schemes and game plans and all that kind of stuff. But this time, the players are going to be around for Tuesday and Wednesday for practice, and then they'll get to take off. And then today's podium, starting at 2:30, all the Ravens coordinators and some assistant coaches will talk, and that'll begin at about 2:30. So busy week inside the castle. And we understand why. We understand that this is not time for vacation. This is not time to phone it in. This is time to look yourself in the mirror and dig deep. Now, it was interesting. I want to start with the last 2 questions posed to John Harbaugh to start the show today. So one of the reporters towards the end of the press conference said, John, we ask a lot about how players are doing, and they did throughout that 31-minute press conference yesterday. we always ask kind of like what's going on inside their minds and how they're dealing with things and how they're dealing with adversity. And then he asked, "But John, how are you doing? How are you doing through all this?" So John got super introspective. And not surprisingly, when he started to talk about his faith, that spoke to me. But then he kind of talked about his support system, including Steve Bisciotti. And then there was a follow-up question with that. So let's take a listen.
Something like this in about 10 years. And I'm sure you hear some of the fans' frustration and all that. I'm sure you share that frustration. So how's it been going for you trying to deal with this, with the expectations coming into the season?
Right. Thanks for asking that. I appreciate it. It's been tested. It's been the test. You know, it's been a test of faith. But from a faith standpoint, my trust is in my Creator and my God and my Lord and my Savior, Jesus Christ, and in the fact that I stand on the rock of that faith, and that's unshakable. So with that, I don't think I can be moved. I don't think I can be moved because I have that. And if I have that and I have my family, you know, then I've got everything I need. But you know what else I have? I have an owner who is an incredible man, an incredible leader, an incredible support, and a great friend who wants to be great and wants to help me do the best job I can do. And I have a general manager who feels the same way, and a team president, and Ozzie Newsome, and a coaching staff, and a staff, people like Chad, all through the building, that all they want to do is do their best. But then just a bunch of coaches and a bunch of players that's all they care about and all they think about. And that's I can stand on that. And then a fan base that I appreciate because I know how much they care and how much they want us to be great. And even when they're frustrated and even if they say things that are hurtful, it's okay because that's our job. That's our job. And it's also going to be great. It's going to be wonderful when things are rolling again and they can enjoy it like they're supposed to. And that's why we're working so hard to get it where it needs to be.
We don't talk to Steve barely at all in terms of on the record or for, in interviews. What's his reaction to this start? Do you hear him regularly? Is the frustration of him and the 1-5 start evident?
It's hard for me to. I don't want to speak for Steve. I would just say he's been great. All I can tell you, just from my perspective, he's been great. Yeah, I know he wants to win, and I know he's turning over every rock too. I mean, we talk all the time, and he's turning over every rock as well. So I have just great respect for him and great appreciation for him, but I don't want to speak for him and how he feels.
Okay,
great. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, so yeah, that was the closing of the press conference yesterday. So some interesting stuff there. So obviously many of us, and I'll include myself in that, are frustrated with some decisions that John Harbaugh has made. Obviously defensive coordinator, offensive line, some play calling issues, all of that. And so just putting that aside for a second, because we're going to get back into that for sure, but putting that aside for a second and the disagreements we have with his decision-making, you can see like a human side. That's what the reporter's doing. Like, how is this for you? And he's obviously has a family and they see what's being said. And I'm sure they can see all the memes and the gifs of when Harbaugh has those Harbaugh faces when he's shocked or dismayed on the sideline and all that. So he's like, but fans have the right to do that, right? He says it at the end. He's like, even when they're mean, like, that's okay. That's we're supposed to be doing our job. So he can recognize that, but that's still, probably is tough. And so when he spoke about faith, that for sure spoke to me. This is not a surprise to any of you that have been listening to the show for all these years with us. I love that. I identify with that, where things are tough. You put your faith in the Lord. He says his faith is unshakable. That's one of the reasons why he's relentless. That's one of the reasons why he never quits. That's the reason why he keeps going. Like he just never really slows down. And then he's expressing some gratitude. He's grateful that he has an owner who supports him. He's grateful that he has Ozzie Newsome and Eric DeCosta and the coaching staff and the players. So I don't mind hearing that human side from him at all, because it speaks to me. In tough moments, in order to remain optimistic, you have to find gratitude. I have found that in my life. If stuff is going rough, then gratitude always keeps you going and keeps your head up. Now, having said all that, a lot of us have been wondering where Steve Bisciotti's head is at right now. Everybody's been wanting that, not just this year, but for many years, especially for those fans that have been ready to move on from John Harbaugh for several years. And I feel like that noise continues to crescendo and has been at its loudest this season, and rightfully so, with a 1-5 start. So we can kind of like speculate a little bit, at least according to John. He feels like Steve Bisciotti has been an incredible leader and an incredible supporter. So if you're imagining Steve Bisciotti ripping into him, John Harbaugh didn't reveal that was happening. Now, I know Steve Bisciotti a little bit, not a ton, but obviously worked inside the building for 13 years. And I also interviewed him one time. He gave me about 45 minutes of his time, and all we did was talk about John Harbaugh the entire time. And I know that Steve Bisciotti likes John Harbaugh, but I also remember asking him, I remember at the time, Peter King had said that John Harbaugh could be the next, I'm forgetting his name. He's the Steelers head coach, was there for decades upon decades. And he thought John Harbaugh could be there as long too. And I said to Steve, I was like, do you think that's true? And he's like, well, we'll see. He was like, well, we're off to a pretty good start. I interviewed him. This was back in 2018. And he's like, but that's up to John. That's up to John for how long he stays. So it's not like Steve Bisciotti's, affinity for John knows no bounds, right? It's not like it means that he can just stay there forever, no matter what. There is, at the end of the day, results that need to be produced. But from John Harbaugh's perspective, he's saying he sees Steve Bisciotti as an incredible leader, an incredible support, a great friend who wants to be great and wants to help me do the best job I can do. Now, it's not like I think Steve Bisciotti would hold. It's not how Steve Bisciotti works. He's not going to like dangle the job and threaten the job over John Harbaugh if he is unhappy. Instead, he seems like a man who's like, let's find solutions. But here's what's interesting. So Jeff Zrebeck followed up wanting to know, well, what is his reaction to this 1-5 start? And all of a sudden, John Harbaugh pulls back a little bit and says, well, I don't want to speak for him. All I can tell you is that he's been great. All I can tell you is just from my perspective is that he's been great. Yes, I know he wants to win, and he's turning over every rock too. We talk all the time, and he's turning over every rock as well. So I just have a great respect for him and a great appreciation for him, but I don't want to speak for him on how he feels. That's fair. Nobody wants to speak for somebody else. That being said, when the heck is Steve Bisciotti going to speak? I know it's not going to happen in the middle of the season. But I remember when I was working there, and I was in all the press conferences, he used to do a State of the Ravens presser at the end of each season. He hated doing them. He doesn't like to be in the spotlight. Neither does Ozzie Newsome. They don't want to do interviews. He's delegated that to his faces of the franchise, which include John Harbaugh during the season and Eric DeCosta during the offseason. And that's the way he likes it. He doesn't want to come out and undermine the people that he's hired. He wants to empower them, not undermine them. And I really appreciate that. I feel like all of us would appreciate a boss like that. That being said, it would still be nice for him to talk like he used to at least once a year. Now, every once in a while, he'll give these one-off interviews to certain outlets, but he hasn't done a State of the Ravens press conference with all media, I believe, since 2019. Because the Ravens went 14-2, and he's like, this is my out. This is my out. He couldn't step away from doing them when the Ravens didn't have successful seasons. But that was when he started this new trend. The Ravens went 14-2. He's like, I don't need to go talk. And he hasn't done one of those ever since. I believe that timing is correct. I could go back and double check it, but I believe that was the time when he's like, okay, I can finally stop. So, okay, John Harbaugh doesn't want to speak about him. But if this season continues the way it has, It's 2025 is going to have to be the year that he repicks up that tradition. I mean, the Ravens may win more games. Who knows? If they go on a playoff, if they go on a run and make it to the playoffs, maybe he'll be able to stick to his tradition. But I definitely think it's time. I think it's time. And I respect that he wants to empower the people he's hired to do jobs. But that doesn't mean he can't. That doesn't mean he shouldn't ever speak. I'd like to know where his head is at. Also, I would like to know that. But John doesn't seem to be expressing that he's under fire in any sort of way. Meanwhile, John Harbaugh was asked in a very interesting way about how he's feeling psychologically about Lamar Jackson returning. This was very interesting the way it was worded. I thought John would be like, yeah, I'm not answering a psychological question, but he leaned into it.
You guys kind of looking at that sort of bringing.
Well, I'm leaning into that pretty hard. How much are we leaning into? I'm sorry, go ahead. I'll restate.
Like psychologically, I guess, how much are you hoping that can sort of jumpstart your team?
Psychologically, how much am I leaning into Lamar coming back and playing? Yeah, I'd have to, if I was on the couch with a psychiatrist right now, if I was spilling it, I would have to say I'm leaning really hard into that. Really hard, yeah. For any kind of psychological well-being, spiritual well-being, I'm leaning hard on that happening. So I'm very hopeful that happens.
Okay. I knew the minute he said that. I watched that live. As soon as I heard him say it, I said, uh-oh, John, you just walked right into it with fans. Because fans have been saying that Lamar Jackson saved his job back in 2018. And maybe he did, because I do remember when, before that, Steve Bisciotti was still talking and people had asked if he had considered moving on from John. He's like, yeah, I considered it. He goes, but he didn't do it in the end. So we know that he was considering it. Maybe he's considering it now. I don't know. But I was like, John just walked right into that with the fan base. I don't know if John knows that's what the fans have been saying about him, that Lamar Jackson saved his job. And then here we are again, 1-5, and everybody's calling for John Harbaugh's job. Now, to be fair, I think all of us are leaning in to Lamar Jackson returning. There's not anybody that's not curious to see what can happen after the bye when Lamar Jackson returns, along with several defensive players that have already returned, and then Roquan Smith, and then maybe some more like Pat Ricard. I'm going to talk about Pat Ricard a little bit later on. And so, I'm leaning into it. Listen, my dream scenario is what we talked about a few days ago, is that Lamar returns along with those 4 changes I talked about. I feel like Lamar Jackson's return is incomplete without the Ravens also improving in play calling, especially situational play calling, incomplete without a trade, which you have to do for the outside linebacker position, but you might also need one for, either the offensive or interior defensive line. I also want to see a new defensive play caller in Chuck Pagano. And so those are some of the changes I want to see. And the dream scenario would be that those changes happen and Lamar comes back, and then Lamar goes on a tear, and then he just throws in the face all those MVP voters that said, hey, we're taking the MVP away from you even though you were the best player. We're taking it away from you because you have the best supporting cast. That's my dream scenario. That's what I'm leaning into, right? I think we're all excited to see what Lamar can do, but we don't want to see him hurt. We want to see him do that with some changes. Here's the problem, though. I don't mind that John Harbaugh, a head coach, is excited for his quarterback to come back. That's natural. Where the criticism comes is, are you going to make those changes, John? Are you going to make those changes? Are you going to make the changes along the offensive line to give your quarterback a better chance? He's already been running for his life. He'd been sacked. He was on a pace of having the most sacks in his career in a single season. Are you going to help Lamar with better play calling? Are you going to help Lamar with an improved defense when you have a good defensive play caller in the building? Are you going to make these changes? Are you going to finally sit Daniel Fa'alele? It's okay that you're excited to see Lamar Jackson back. What's not okay is if you lean into him too much and don't help him more. That's what's not okay. That's what's not okay. It's okay to be excited for him to come back. Help him help you, Jerry Maguire quoting. Help him help you. Make some offensive line changes. All the things I just talked about. Lean into some other things. Don't only lean into Lamar Jackson. I know he's leaning into other things too, but lean into the things that is staring you in the eye. And speaking of the offensive line, and oh, by the way, let's just review this once again. Let's just remember who Lamar Jackson is. I've done this, I think, 2 times already this week. Let's do it a 3rd time. Lamar Jackson, this season, when he's played, the Ravens averaged 32.8 points per game. Now they're down to 6.5. Can't even get an average of a touchdown per game in those 2 games. Yards per game, 33.8. Drops more than 100 yards per game down to 251. Turnovers went up from 4 to 6. How about overall? How about since 2019 when he went on a tear, his first year as a non-rookie? He came in as a rookie and just took the league by storm. But since 2019, he's 66-26. Without him, they're 4-10. Since 2019, 29.1 points per game to 16.1. So yeah, we're all excited to see Lamar Jackson, but let's make some changes. And that's what John Harbaugh was asked about also during this press conference. This was interesting, the way John Harbaugh answered this. And this is what I just don't, this is the part that I'm like, but it's staring you in the eye. How do you not know? Okay, John Harbaugh was asked about goal-to-go situations. I think Jamison Hensley asked that question of ESPN. And he was like, John, your effectiveness in goal-to-go situations has dropped significantly from last year to this year. Significantly. And he's like, what's going on there? And John's like, yeah, that's a problem. Not just goal-to-go, but short-yarded situations in general. Here's his answer.
It's been ineffective, basically, and I'd have to say it's been surprising. You know, we have not been able to punch the ball in, which last year we were able to do it. So we're looking at every aspect of it. Scheme, keeping people more off balance, effectively running a quarterback sneak, which was really disappointing. You know, we've had a couple situations this year where we took the ball off the line of scrimmage down there and didn't get in. So sometimes you say keep it simple and sneak it in, you know, but they were loaded up for it, but you still should be able to push it in there. And then not executing the play for the front that we wanted and just not executing it the way we didn't block it very, very completely well. So all those things, and I think that's pretty much been the situation all the way through. If you look at all the situations where we didn't get in down there from the 1 or 2 yard line, it's been basically the same. So we got to work on that really hard. I mean, that's like the number one thing in my mind on offense is short yardage and goal line. We should be better. We should be way better than we are. I mean, we've never struggled in those areas, and I don't really understand why we are. I mean, I do. I look at the plays, but you want to step back and say, why is this happening? We're just not getting the job done, you know. So if we want to be the kind of team that we have, if we want to have a chance, we got to get that fixed. I mean, that should have been fixed. We've been talking about fixing it for weeks, and we've been trying to fix it for weeks, but we haven't done a good job.
Okay. So, yes, I'm glad to hear that it's one of his top priorities. We like that. It's one of the changes I asked for, better situational play calling. And those short yardage situations, that's big. Like, but is it surprising? Is it surprising? I guess in some ways it is. It's surprising because you brought back almost your entire offensive line from last year. save Andrew Voorhees is the new one, the new player at left guard. But you don't have your fullback. And your play calling hasn't been as good. And everybody on the outside is like, dude, it's your guards. And this is the disconnect. So when he says, I don't really understand, it's been surprising. I guess, again, because you're bringing back most of your personnel, but also not because we on the outside are like, you're lucky you got that done with the personnel that you've got in at right guard. Look what's on my screen. Daniel Fa'alele's on the ground at the goal line again. He whiffed. That happened like 3 times, at least that I've seen. Maybe there's more. He just kept whiffing and falling on the ground. It's almost a weekly occurrence. What is it that's like that you can't understand about that? Now, the fact that he has to lean into somebody outside of Pat Ricard, again, I have on the screen, Zaire Mitchell-Patton. I mean, he got blown up on this. How many times were there reports during the training camp that Mike Green blew him up? He's like your starting fullback right now. He doesn't do it full time the way Pat Ricard does. But he's trying to lead the way with King Henry there. So I guess that's where the disconnect is. I mean, he genuinely, truly believes that these guards can do it. And I wonder if he's waking up to the fact that that's the reason. That's the reason. 3 times from the one. It doesn't feel like rocket science on the outside. Okay, so then he was asked about the offensive line then. Are you willing to take changes? You're very surprised about this. So will you make offensive line changes during the bye week?
On Tuesday and Wednesday, which will be good for us to get those guys out there and see them. I mean, Emery, for instance, you know, he's a young dude. He's only been practicing for like a week.
Let me restart that start in the middle. Here we go.
We're considering those kind of options for sure. And that's kind of what the bye week is for. I think it helps you with that. Those guys will get a chance to practice on Tuesday and Wednesday, which will be good for us to get those guys out there and see them. I mean, Emery, for instance, you know, he's a young dude. He's only been practicing for like a week. So there's a lot that goes into knowing what you're supposed to do under fire and pass protection. He hasn't done any pass protection yet because of his shoulder. So this will be the first week he'll have a chance to do pass protection. He hasn't been able to do that up till now. So you can kind of see the challenges there with that. But we're trying to get him up to speed as quick as we possibly can. And so he's up. We wouldn't put a player out there until they're, ready to be successful. That wouldn't be fair to the player or to the team or the fans or anybody. But as soon as we feel like a guy like him or anybody else is really ready or the best guy for it, we would do it. We do have a couple of veteran guys that could, in the offensive line that have been practicing, that would have a shot that we'll take a look at this week and see how they look. And that stuff's definitely on the table.
Okay, that I really hope is not coach speak. Because I feel like the last couple off seasons, when they've done the State of the Ravens with John Harbaugh and Eric DeCosta, they've talked a big game about the offensive line. And then little is done about it. You get some mid-round picks in there. I really hope that's not coach speak. That is one of the changes I called for. So now he's addressed 2 of the changes I called for. Better play calling. So they're going to dig in, look at the scheme, look at those situations, try to come up with new plays. And now he's saying he's going to for sure use the bye week. That's one of the reasons why they're practicing today and tomorrow. Now, the guys that he was asked about, if he'd consider Corey Bullock and Emory Jones. Emory Jones is not going to be ready. Maybe he could later on. He's not going to be ready after the bye week. You just heard him say it. He just came back to practice last week. This is going to be the first week that he actually does pass blocking in practice because that's the way the trainers are allowing him to ramp up after his shoulder surgery during the offseason. So Emory Jones for now is not an option. There's Corey Bullock. And then at the end, is Rave Kingdom here today? At the end, he says we do have a couple veterans in the offensive line that have been practicing and would have a shot that we'll take a look at this week. That stuff definitely on the table. Are we talking about Ben Cleveland? I just want to know. I think Rave Kingdom probably wants to know. Is he talking about Ben Cleveland? Is Rave Kingdom fine? Oh, there he is. He says, I'm here. What do you think, Rave? Is he talking about Ben Cleveland? Are we going to see Ben Cleveland coming out of the bye for the Bears game? Rave says that John's capping. I really hope this is not coach speak. There's nothing to lose. Lamar was already running for his life. You already are getting stuffed from the 1 3 times in a row. Do it. What's that meme? That meme with Ben Stiller. Do it. Do it. Make the change. You can't put up with this, John. You can't put up with the 3 and 1 or the 3 times from the 1 and getting stuffed. Make the change. Meanwhile, Kevin Ostreicher reminding us that the Titans are also 1 and 5 and they just fired their head coach. Kevin Zeitler's over there. Hi, Kevin. We miss you. I don't know if the Titans are going to help out the Ravens. I don't know. Maybe that could be better. Meanwhile, this is the one answer, like almost all the answers that John Harbaugh gave yesterday. It's like, okay, I can kind of see where he's coming from, but you hope he comes around. This one, I don't even know why he answered it this way. So after that whole discussion about the goal to go situations and short yardage situations, Cordell Woodland, friend of the show, asked what I thought was a very fair question. Like, it's just like, it's not like a crazy question. He's like, hey, have you ever considered to do the tush push with somebody other than Mark Andrews? And it was like, John, and he even put out, he's like, maybe Derrick Henry, maybe try it with him. John did not like that. Listen to this.
That play successful, but I'm just curious, what goes into why Mark Andrews as that guy, as opposed to, like, I guess a guy like Derrick Henry in that spot?
Derrick Henry under there? No, Mark, the guy, he's a good ball handler. He's been doing it. I mean, Mark versus Derrick, I think Mark is a guy we like Mark doing it. He's a good ball handler and he's had experience doing it. Derrick, that I know of, has never taken a snap under center. So we'd have to teach him how to do that. Why Derrick over Mark? Why would that be better? So I think Mark's done a good job with it. We have Charlie's done it before. They've been successful a bunch of times. Derrick, I don't know where that idea comes from, but that wouldn't be a thought. No, that would not be a thought. That's not something we thought about doing.
I mean, why not think about it? I mean, it's Derrick Henry. He's a running back. He's a big guy. He's a big dude. I mean, maybe I'm naive to this, but would it really be that hard to have him practice taking snaps under center? I mean, I'm sure there's like nuance to it that I'm unaware of as somebody that's never done the tush push, but is this really above Derrick Henry's capabilities that he can't take a direct snap under center? Anyway, maybe the answer is not Derrick Henry to do it, but it was just like he was so like flabbergasted that like even the idea comes up, and then he's like, "Why would you even come up with that idea?" It's not like that's not like this is like a back and forth conversation, so it's not like Cordell could just sit here and say, "Okay, here's my reasoning behind it." Like I don't know why it was buried. Like it had to be buried like that. So I mean, if Mark Andrews is like the better option, okay, but yeah. I didn't understand the passion behind that. So, just some quick hits from his press conference. Him talking about Ronnie Stanley, and he's right. He's like, it would be huge to get Ronnie Stanley back and have a healthy Ronnie Stanley. Listen, Joseph Noteboom was not it. He's not it. And most backup tackles aren't. So I get that, but they were asked about Ronnie Stanley's ankle. He said that it is structurally okay. Otherwise, he wouldn't be playing. But obviously, it's not feeling great because he's tried to play the last 2 weeks, and then he had to leave the game. So now he's got the bye week. Maybe that'll help. John said, quote, he's fighting to get out there, in hopes that the rest of the week will do him good. Some more injury news. At least this is somewhat good news. Tavius Robinson, John Harbaugh said, will not be out for the season. His foot injury is not a season ender. He says it'll be about 6 to 8 weeks, and compared it to Isaiah Likely, and said, quote, he will be back during the season. So that's good news for Tavius, and maybe later on. That being said, that's still 6 to 8 weeks, where right now the Ravens just have 3 healthy offensive outside linebackers on the 53-man roster. So he was asked if they'll promote somebody from the practice squad or if they'll look outside the organization. He said, quote, all of the above. So I do anticipate those moves throughout the bye week. I forgot to put a picture on this. Meanwhile, the Commanders just signed pass rusher Drake Jackson to their active roster. So he's not somebody that they will be considering. Meanwhile, what about Adisa Isaac? Well, Harbaugh said that he doesn't expect him back until mid to late November. Remember, Isaac dislocated his elbow and sustained ligament damage there during the preseason. So he's not a guy that they can lean on. So we might see a bit of David Ajabo. And just a reminder that Nnamdi Madubuike was injured wasn't it after week 2 or in the middle of week 2? And now the Ravens have played 6 games. Guess who's still the sack leader? Nnamdi Madubuike. He has 2 sacks, 2. And that's the sack leader in the Ravens. If that doesn't tell you how dire the situation is of getting quarterback pressure from the edges, and now you've lost Tavius Robinson, you just traded away Odafe Owe. Adisa Isaac isn't coming back anytime soon, and neither is Robinson. So, yeah, you're going to have to look outside the organization for sure, Mr. DaCosta. What about Pat Ricard? Remember, John Harbaugh said that he was hoping, the last time he talked about Ricard, he was hoping for the Bears. They followed up, the reporters did, on that and said, hey, do you still expect him to be ready after the bye? He said, quote, well, he said he didn't know, and said, quote, it's just a matter of him being comfortable with his level of strength and his ability to perform. It's really up to him. So I'm sure he'll get another week of practice. Maybe he won't go too far during the bye week. I know he'll be out there. He was out there last week, so hopefully there was no setback, and hopefully he'll be out there again, although I don't think they have to give injury reports during the bye week. So I don't know. I don't know if we'll get the information on that. Marlon Humphrey, it looked like he may have been injured going out of the game, but John Harbaugh said he came out of it physically. Okay. So that's good news. And then he was asked by Jeff because they had Jair Alexander activated and they had Aeneas Peebles deactivated, who's been one of the better interior defensive linemen. And so Jeff asked about that because Jair Alexander was activated, but he never played. So Harbaugh said, according to Jeff, that they felt like they needed an extra cornerback because the Rams are a 3 wide receiver team and they like to throw. He said that they felt like they had some other options inside, which is why they left Peebles inactive. Also said they don't consider Peebles a run-stopping defensive lineman. I mean, I get the logic behind that. And if there was an injury at cornerback, which seems to happen often, and obviously Marlon Humphrey was coming off a soft tissue injury, and so you never know if you're going to re-aggravate that. That makes sense. You just wish that Aeneas Peebles was still out there and not the guy that had to be taken off. And meanwhile, John Harbaugh was asked about who is still the official backup quarterback, the number 2 quarterback. John Harbaugh said it's still Cooper Rush. And then he reiterated again, probably because he saw people doubting him. He said the plan was always to rotate them or give Huntley a chance at some point, even though it sounded like Cooper didn't know. John Harbaugh said it was communicated. So there's that. But I guess Cooper's still officially number 2, but does it really matter? Like, I just don't. I guess it does matter. Like if Lamar were to get injured again behind this offensive line, who knows? Yeah, I would like to see Huntley come in, not Cooper. Okay, let's take a break right there. We're going to do, let's see here. Let's do an ad read. And then we will do super chat. So let me see if we can get this up here and set ourselves up. Okay. We know that we are very grateful. Let's get one more thing up here to all of our sponsors, but today's sponsor, especially PRMI. So grateful for them supporting us here inside the vault. I know they've been supporting Bobby on his personal channel, so we're grateful to have him here. And guys, it's great news, big news. As we know, the Fed finally cut rates, which should help jumpstart the housing market. And so what does that mean for you? Well, the lower Fed rates can create new opportunities in home buying, but timing obviously is everything. So a PRMI loan officer can break down exactly how this move could impact your buying power, your mortgage options, and your path to home ownership. Don't wait. Reach out to PRMI today and find out what this Fed rate cut could mean for your next move. So whether you're buying your first home, or you're looking to expand as your family grows, or you want to simplify now that you're retired, wherever you're at in your stage of life, the PRMI team will help you find the right financing options that is just perfect for you. And they can also help you access your home equity or save money through refinancing. I can't even tell you, man, whenever they drop, I'm always looking into refinancing because you can save big money. Whatever your home financing needs, PRMI, they are here to help, and we appreciate them. They've created, obviously, this very specific PRMI landing page with the vault designed just for our listeners. Let's go through this. They've got, which I'm going to take you to in just a second. Obviously, they want us to celebrate Baltimore's October giveaway, which is a $100 Fanatics gift card. So you can win that if you go over to their Instagram page, which I'll show you in just a minute. You comment on the Instagram post with the hashtag Vault, and you tell them what your dream home looks like. And you want to follow them on PRMI Mid-Atlantic on that Instagram page, and then subscribe, please, to the Ravens Vault podcast on YouTube and turn on those notifications. So let's go ahead and let's show you this Instagram landing page where you can go to enter in for this $100 Fanatics gift card right here. Boom, baby. It's right over here. Oh, we check out some of these comments. Look at all these. Here we go. Well, they're not showing me the comments. But you guys already know me. I'm kind of like, can I put in 2 dream homes? I definitely want a ocean house, right? Get a house over by the ocean. Check out the sand, watch those sunrises come off. But I'm also big into the mountains. There's so much to do in the mountains. You can go to the lake, you can go skiing in the winter, you can like go mountain biking. Like there's just so much you can do. There's so much you can do. So just go on over there to the PRMI Mid-Atlantic Instagram page, follow them, put in your dream home. If you don't already, I don't know why you're not, you subscribe to the Ravens Vault YouTube page and turn on those notifications. So we appreciate PRMI, all that they do to support the show. We're grateful for you guys in supporting our sponsors, because without them, the lights could go out inside the vault, and we definitely don't want that. Okay, let's go over to some super chats. Captain Hard started us off earlier at the top of the show. And he says, I'm mad that the Bills lost yesterday. It just gets me even more upset that the Ravens are 1-5. AFC and the AFC is wide open. And of course, the one team, the Chiefs, are getting their stuff together. Bills lost week 1 looks even worse when the Ravens lost to them. You see it as angry, and I see it, as it being wide open. So let's make a run. Am I being a little delusional right now? Am I a little delusional? Probably a little bit. Okay, VA Dimes, thank you for your $10 super chat, matching Captain Hard. He says, I'm also a man of faith. Just don't forget that faith without works is dead. It's very true. Diana Deguda? Ooh, I butchered that for sure. She says, do we know if Harbs calls plays in the red zone? So he was asked about, at least specifically, the plays at the goal line last week. He was very vague. He just said, yeah, those are the planned plays. Those are the plays that get called. So I imagine he definitely has influence in there. And I know that he loves that tush push with Mark Andrews, as you could probably tell by his very defensive answer about taking Mark Andrews out of there. So it wouldn't surprise me if his influence is on that. But is he like calling the play? I don't think so, but I know he's in communication. He's in communication and has influence. Dreams is in the house. Thank you, Dreams. He says 8 sacks in 6 games. I wish I was joking. And your leading sack getters are hurt. None of the remaining pass rushers have a sack except KVN. 1. Woof. That's rough. That is rough, Dreams. Thank you for putting that in perspective. Osmodius is in the house. He says, either this is coach speaking or we're toast. My boss wouldn't give me this much leeway, and we've transferred to different companies together. So he likes you is what you're saying. And he wouldn't give you that much leeway. You do got to produce. Ocean says Harbaugh is gaslighting us like usual. Osmodius is back and says, playoffs? Are you kidding me? I hope we can win a game. I guess that answers my question if I was being delusional a minute ago. Joseph Burton says, 1,000 people in the stream, only 100 likes. Like the video. Well, what's interesting is if you combine people who are watching from Twitter, we have 3,311 concurrents, Tila. But yeah, if 1,069 to be exact are coming from YouTube, I appreciate you, Joseph. Yes, everybody, please like the video, subscribe, and turn on those notifications if you haven't already. Kobe. How's it going, Kobe? Kobe Pruitt in the house. He says, I don't think we can make a big move on the offensive line because it's unlikely a clear upgrade becomes available. But I'd like to see Bullock in for Daniel at a minimum. The bye will be good for Emory Jones as well. Hear you there? And I'd also be there for Ben Cleveland. I'm just saying. Bobby had this name down better than me. Scrap Skrilla the Rilla. Did I get it right? Scrap Skrilla the Rilla. Fa'alele, he says, needs his pink slip now. I'm also in for a change there. Glenn Hughes says everyone needs to be held accountable, not just one or two individuals. It's true. Nate Campbell, in the same breath during that presser with a straight face, he said that the offense was efficient and performed well. Yikes. They were efficient between the 20s because of Derrick Henry. Nothing else, though. Isaiah says Henry, not a ball handler? That's what I'm saying. The other thing is like they also act like he can't catch out of the backfield. Like Justice Hill is the only one. And Justice Hill does a really good job there. But like, just to remain unpredictable, can we do some? Can we put Derrick Henry out on third down sometimes? Like switch it up a little bit so we're not so predictable? Laney lately. And my point, like Derrick Henry caught balls out of the backfield for the Tennessee Titans. Like he can do it. And yeah, he's a ball handler. Lenny lately says Harb seems unwilling to think outside the box. Derrick Henry is more than capable of handling a tush push. Ray Dog We Trust is celebrating 5 months memberships. He says, in the words of Nino Brown, friends are friends. Business is business. And if Bisciotti means business, Harbs is the one that's got to go. Friends are friends and business is business. Okay, Kobe Pruitt is back. He says Harbs loses equity with the fan/media when he acts like he's the genius archetype of head coach rather than the CEO type when people challenge his decisions. Kobe's back again. Got a little run from Kobe. It says, PSA, as a property attorney, I encourage everyone to look into first-time home buyer programs before you buy a house because they can be very helpful. Don't do a cash-out refi if you don't need the money. Okay. Sounds like you know. Kobe's a property attorney. Little advice there. I don't hate advice. Robbie Pate says, can't believe Harbaugh said the tush push was successful with Andrews. Were we watching the same game? Mark Wigg celebrating 3 months of channel membership. We appreciate you, Mark. He says, here's a super woof. I like saying that so much. Thanks for teeing me off there, Mark. All right. Let's get reset here. Appreciate all you guys and your super chats. Loving this solo Sarah day, this Tuesday, this bye-week Tuesday. And I'm loving this conversation with you guys. Appreciate you all being here with me. And we're going to turn the page. And what are we going to turn the page towards? Some AFC North drama. This was hilarious to me. Okay. As we all know, last week, the Browns got us all kind of scratching our heads. We were all very surprised that they made an in-division trade at the quarterback position to the Bengals. Now, of course, Joe Flacco was probably thrilled because he knew that he wasn't going to be playing anymore in Cleveland as the starter because they dug a hole so deep that they were moving on to their rookies. They've got 2 drafted rookies. The season's gone. Might as well get a look at them, let them have some practice. So Joe Flacco wasn't going to play anymore. This man wants to play. So he's happy about it. The Bengals are happy about it. You know who's not happy about it? Mike Tomlin. You know who's surprised by it? Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Kevin Stefanski himself, and even Zach Taylor a little bit, although he's very happy. I've got video of all 4 coaches reacting to this trade, and Mike Tomlin for sure led the way, just ripping Andrew Berry, the GM of the Browns. And then after him, a lot of the other coaches were asked to react to Mike. So listen to this. This is a lot of fun.
The divisional trade of an experienced quarterback inside the division.
You know, to be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
When the Bengals acquired him, knowing what you know about Zach and how he likes to run his offense, like from Cincinnati's perspective, did it make sense for them?
It certainly made sense from Cincinnati's perspective.
Quarterback coming in within 8 days of showing up has to start 2 games for a new team. Can you speak to how hard that is, or maybe it's veteran guy?
Doesn't appear to be hard for Joe Flacco.
All right, next go.
Great. You guys were annoying me to say something.
Were you surprised?
Okay, let me just pause it there. Andrew Berry must be smarter than us because he thought it was a good idea to trade a quarterback that he thought well enough of that they started him week 1, and now you're going to give it to a division opponent that absolutely is hurting there? Why are you helping the Bengals? Listen, from the Ravens' point of view and the Steelers' point of view, I feel like we're all kind of all with them. I'm happy for Joe, but not so much that I want it to come. Like, is Joe going to breathe new life into the Bengals like he did for the Browns a few years ago? I mean, they didn't win the game that he just played in last week, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But, like, I also think, though, that Mike Tomlin's, like, extra salty, just pouring on the salt a little bit, because he has to play the Bengals in 2 days. A little more than 48 hours away, Thursday night football. He's like, dude, what are you doing? Let us have Browning, Jake Browning. Now, I'll be honest. I hope that Joe Flacco does help them upset the Bengals. I mean, the Steelers. We've got to knock them down somehow. Joe can do that. It's great. It's not great that the Bengals would get a win, but let's just have AFC North eat each other, except for the Ravens, of course. The Ravens need to do the eating and not get eaten. So anyway, that's Mike Tomlin ripping him. So then, of course, they go to Zach Taylor, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, and tell him what Mike Tomlin just said. Here's his response.
That a team in division was willing to help you. So
I was happy. That's my only comment.
The fact that he was so taken aback, just like you acknowledged last week, you were a little surprised as well and not anticipating that you guys would trade Joe this season.
Yeah, I don't have a comment on that, Daryl.
Why do I find this whole thing so funny? You want to know why? Because last week, he didn't seem so happy with his own GM. Here's his response last week when he found out about it.
Joe trade took us by surprise. That was not something that we saw coming. They called us, and it happened very fast and happened not too long.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, let's just finish out with John, and then we'll break this all down. Oh my gosh, Andrew Berry's just ticking everybody off. Literally everybody except for Taylor. Okay, so then the media asked John Harbaugh because they told him what Mike Tomlin said too.
Did that resonate with you? Do you have any issue with maybe making interdivision trade at a position like quarterback?
I didn't think about it that much, probably because we don't play the Browns or the Bengals for 4 or 5 weeks or something like that. So I can't say that was on my mind. I was surprised. I will say that I was surprised. Like, wow, Joe's going to the Bengals. That would be about as much as I would say I thought about it.
Okay, so John Harbaugh's surprised. Look at some of these faces. Look how angry Stefanski looks. Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that. What can he say? I don't think he liked the trade. What can he say? Look over here. Look how upset Mike Tomlin is. He's not happy. And then look at the face on Zach Taylor. Let's get over to him. Where's Zach? Look at Zach. Look at him smile. Look at him. He's so happy. He can't believe the Browns gave him that. He cannot believe the Browns gave him Joe Flacco. He can't believe it. He knows he got away with something. That's like a player who flops. It's like a player who flops and he gets the referee to call it. And he's like, gotcha. I got you. I got away with one. He knows he got away with one. And everybody else in the AFC North knows it too. Stefanski knows it. John Harbaugh knows it. Mike Tomlin knows it. And he's salty. He is salty. Okay, so now we have this AFC North battle that I'm for sure going to be tuning into on Thursday night. And we've got the battle of the 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco. The combined longevity between these two quarterbacks, their combined age is 81 years old. The combined career touchdowns for these guys, 770. Combined yards, 110,250. These two guys have played a lot of football. And let's see here. Joe Flacco, after a couple days of practice, not even a full week, he goes in and plays for the Bengals against the Green Bay Packers last week. And the first half was pretty bad. But the second half was a lot better. And his overall numbers, after just joining the team, 29 of 45, which is a 64.4 completion percentage. And by the way, it helps that his receivers are Jamar Chase and Higgins. It's not too hard to. I imagine it's not too hard to adjust to them. He had 219 yards, 2 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Okay, so in Cincinnati, they were actually encouraged by this. You can see this headline up on the screen that says, Joe Flacco has promising debut in Bengals stripes. That's from a story out of Cincinnati. And again, they were bad in the first half. They went into the locker room at halftime down 10-0. And no, they didn't come from behind and win it behind Joe Flacco. However, because the final score was 27-18, but they had 0 points in the first half, 18 in the second. They did more. This is what the article says. Yes, the Bengals did lose by a score of 27-18, but Flacco and the Bengals offense did more in 2 quarters than Jake Browning did with them in 3 games. After only picking up 3 measly first downs in the first half, the Bengals not only scored 18 points in the second half, but they also had 18 first downs. Flacco was able to move the ball through the air, connecting with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and 6 other receivers. So they're feeling like, hey, if Joe can do that against the Green Bay Packers on just a couple days of practice, maybe he can get some things going. And look, we've done it before. We've seen him do it before with the Browns. So yeah, I can see why all these coaches are surprised and not very happy about it. So here's what we're looking at in the AFC North. Steelers 4-1, Bengals 2-4. Obviously, Ravens and Browns tied for the bottom at 1-5. Ravens own the tiebreaker. So who are we rooting for? I feel like we're rooting for the Bengals. We just want the AFC North to eat each other, right? And again, I know everybody feels like the season's already lost for the Ravens. But there is that Lamar Jackson coming back, and maybe it's just coach speak, but maybe they'll make some changes during the bye week. And if they can knock them down to 4-2, they go to 3-4. Let's just have the AFC North eat each other. And to I can't remember who said it, but one of the super chats said something to the point, to the effect that they're mad at the Bills lost. To me, I'm sure the Ravens are celebrating it. Bills lose, just put up 14 points. Whoa. And that's with Josh Allen on the field. There's not too many 14-point games the Ravens have had with Lamar Jackson under center. They lost 14-24. So it's not even like the Falcons were like put up a 30 burger or something. It was 14-24. So here's what the AFC conference looks like. You've got the Colts leading the way at 5-1, followed by the Steelers at 4-1. Chargers, Patriots, Bills, Jags, Broncos, all at 4-2. Chiefs trying to make a comeback. I'm going to talk about the Chiefs in just a minute. At 3-3. And then it's Texans, Bengals, Raiders, and then the Ravens. So the Ravens are definitely far down there. But this is hilarious to me. Okay, first of all, Ravens still have a 35% chance to make the playoffs, which is bananas to me, seeing as only 4 teams have ever started at 1-5 and went on to make the playoffs. But this is so funny. They are losing their minds in Buffalo right now because of that loss and only putting up 14 points. So Dan Orlovsky, who I'm still upset with after the MVP vote, he's a great analyst, but that was a bad move, Dan, saying that Lamar was doing more with less. I hope he has learned his lesson. I hope he can see the light now after this abysmal start. Nonetheless, he tweets yesterday, or maybe this morning, he says, the way people are talking about the Bills, and then does one of those slap your forehead emojis. So a Bills fan replies to him, and he says, well, talk us off the ledge then, because all we see is a generational quarterback surrounded by a bunch of mid receivers and mid coordinators, while we watch teams like KC and Philly surround their quarterbacks with talent and top tier coaching. Man, that sounds like Baltimore. Except it sounds like Baltimore from like 2019 to 22? I mean, still mid-wide receivers, but they've been better than they were in the past. But at least what the Bills have going for them is an offensive line. What we wouldn't give in Baltimore for the Bills' offensive line. What Lamar Jackson could do with that offensive line. Then I agree with like elite coaching for Kansas City. And Philly has some pretty good wide receivers, but I don't feel like the receiving core around Mahomes is very good right now. You just got Xavier Worthy back, but I mean, Rashid Rice. I mean, are we talking about, like, he used the word surround their quarterbacks with talent and top tier coaching. Yeah. Well, all I know is this was fun for me to watch. Very entertaining to watch Bills fans start to panic a little bit. But again, that leaves the door open. It leaves the door open. So we will see what goes on in the AFC. Meanwhile, another Monday Night Football game, just in the NFC, so I won't go into it too much, but the Bears pull off the upset over the Washington Commanders by 1 point, 25-24. So the Bears might be coming in to the Ravens game on a little bit of a high. Okay, we'll get to that in just a minute. Let me get to a few more super chats. Then we'll get to the next topic. Where did we leave off? Here's a super woof was the last one. Trenton Russell says, I'm just glad that we were able to stop the bleeding on defense from letting the team score more than 20 points. And then he has a throw up emoji, a sick emoji, and slap the forehead emoji. Yeah, I mean, listen, if the defense was playing that well when Lamar Jackson was playing, there would have been some more wins. That's another reason to say, hey, maybe this new 3 safety look and the changes there, is that going to bring hope? But again, listen, brings hope to maybe go on a playoff, on a run to maybe go to the playoffs, but you can't win in the playoffs with this, with no pressure. You just can't do it. The Ravens have to figure something out there. They've got to figure out a way to get more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Kobe is back. He says, Bills bad since May snatched Josh's MVP chain. Okay. Let's see. Kobe Pruitt again here says Stefanski has a bigger problem hitching his wagon to a 5'9" quarterback that can't pass outside the numbers because he can't over the line. Stefanski has a lot of problems over there. Robert Smith says Bills have not beaten a team with a winning record. You don't say. Are we doing that again? That's making me want to go look up the Bills' schedule. Certainly, the Ravens don't have a winning record, so that wasn't much to write home about. Then the Jets, yeah, that's not anything. Dolphins, not something to write home about. Saints, Patriots loss, Falcons loss. What's the Saints record right now? I'm just very curious. Robert, let's remember this. The Saints. Oh, yeah. Oh, the Saints are 1-5 also. Woo. Okay, Robert, I'm going to remember that one. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Dreams. The Bills should be 3-3. We let them off the hook. We sure did. Okay. On to the next topic. So you guys remember back in April of 2024, there were reports about Terrell Suggs getting arrested due to an incident that had occurred at a Starbucks drive-thru. It's like, dang. And the story didn't look good on paper. And I got to say, it doesn't look better on video because TMZ has gotten a hold of the video. It looks like it's a dash cam of the driver behind Terrell Suggs capturing it on video. So there's also more video about police pulling over Suggs and their kind of conversations and whatnot. But I'm just going to play this TMZ video from what looks to be a dash cam inside the driver's car. I'm going to leave the audio on because there's some talking back and forth, although it is a little bit hard on the ears.
Just backed into me, man. You can't just back into me to tell me to back up. I can back it up, but don't hit me.
No, I didn't hit you. Really? Back up. I'm not that. go ahead and take it. You. 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 Go away. Go away. Go away.
Are they okay? Okay, thank you.
Oh, really? That guy just pulled a gun on me.
Oh.
The guy in the line.
Oh, Suggs. Long before he ever pulled out that gun, it was like it's too much. Like, what? Why? Why all of that? All of it is just so avoidable. What is the point of all of that? Everybody's always trying to look so tough. Like, I don't know if his Range Rover actually hit into the other guy. It kind of looked like it, but I couldn't see. But I mean, just craziness from the beginning when the driver went to go talk to him. It's like, and then it's like, it's not, and then Suggs had a minute to think about it. Like, he could have cooled down. Like, the guy went back into his car. They could have just left it all alone. But they can't leave it alone. They can't leave it alone. Like, both got in the car. There was no damage done. Then he, like, flips him off. And then, like, immediately it's like, you want to go? And then you pull a gun and I'll say, I'll kill you? Over what? Over what? What is that? Come on, man. Come on. No need for any of that. None of it. And I'm sure, Suggs, let me make sure I got the story right. Suggs ended up pleading guilty to Maricopa County Police arrested Suggs, and the 42-year-old was charged with 1 count of threatening or intimidating and 1 count of disorderly conduct. Suggs pleaded guilty to the disorderly conduct charge in February and was sentenced to 18 months of supervised probation. A rep for Suggs issued a statement to TMZ in the wake of the footage being released. Quote, there was an incident at a Starbucks drive-thru in which Terrell attempted to safely back out of the lane when the individual behind him became hostile and falsely accused Terrell Suggs of making contact with his vehicle, which did not occur. The situation escalated when the individual exited his car and approached Terrell in a confrontational manner. Notably, the individual had not placed an order in the Starbucks line, which led Terrell to believe he might continue to follow him, causing Terrell to feel threatened. White added that at no point did her client point a firearm at an individual. Okay. He sure did pull it out and show it to him now, but I guess that makes it better. He did not point a firearm at the individual, but that Suggs made it clear that he was prepared to protect himself if necessary. Arizona is an open carry state, and Terrell is aware of the responsibilities that come with firearm ownership. He recognized that he should not have displayed his weapon, but his actions were solely in response to feeling threatened. But Terrell was the one saying, do you want to go? Do you want to go? Do you want to go? And the guy was like, just leave. So I don't know. All unnecessary. All unnecessary. Just get your coffee and go. Just get your coffee and go. All right. Speaking of crazy events, the NFL announced yesterday that somehow I just lost my spot on my computer screen, but I'm back. The NFL announced that safety Brian Branch, who punched, open hand pushed, I don't know, Chiefs wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster in the face after the loss to KC. So Brian Branch was suspended for 1 game. And NFL Vice President of Football Operations John Runyon said, quote, talking to Branch, your aggressive non-football act was entirely unwarranted, posed a serious risk of injury, and clearly violated the standards of conduct and sportsmanship expected of NFL players. Your conduct reflected poorly on the NFL and has no place in our game. It was also reported that Branch is going to appeal this decision. I think he wants to try to play in the game. I think some people were expecting a fine, but maybe not a suspension, but they suspended him. Look at Juju. Because Juju went and retaliated after he punched him in the face mask. And then Brian Branch took him to the ground there. Brian Branch, on his part, reacted on Sunday. I think this was before the announcement of the suspension was made. So here's what Brian Branch said.
Shouldn't have did it. It was childish.
What happened between the plays? What are you referring to?
I got blocked in the back illegally, and it was in front of the ref. The ref didn't do anything, and just stuff like that. And I could have got hurt off of that, but I still shouldn't have done that. So
that was at the end of the game. You're talking about somebody hit you in the back. Juju hit you in the back.
Yes.
So Juju in particular was the one that hit you?
Yes.
Yeah. Were there other things that they were doing just in terms of maybe rubbing it in at the end?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff, but I should have showed it between the whistle, not after the game, and I apologize for that.
What sort of discipline, if any, do you expect from the league, or you gotta hope there's nothing else?
I don't know. Honestly.
I was so distracted by the breathing of one of the reporters in the background. Were you guys distracted by that also? Oh my jeez. Anyway, listen, he for sure sucker punched him. A fine or a suspension, I have no problem with that. I appreciate Branch's comments here saying, I apologize, I shouldn't have done it. His head coach said the same thing, all of that. He for sure just went up and did that. And at the same time, I'm glad that the NFL addressed Brian Branch, but I would have liked, hold on a second. See, this is where it would be nice to have Bobby here. I just want to make sure this is a phone call that, okay. Yeah, I need to wrap up very soon. Good, we're in quick hits. Okay, we're going to wrap up. Sorry to be distracted there for a second. Listen, we witnessed this in the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs are like that. The way Branch was describing him, we've seen it. And they never get called out for anything by the refs. And maybe KC just has it down to a science. Maybe they understand where the line is and they take it all the way up to the line and then stop. But at the same time, it is crazy. It is crazy, some of the calls that they're able to get away with and some of the calls that are made on their opponents in the games against them. And he was blocked in the back right there. Two things are true at once here. He was blocked in the back, which could have been a penalty. And when Patrick Mahomes spun the ball in his direction and pointed at him, that is, under the rules, taunting. And he didn't get called for that. And there was other crazy stuff in the game too. And so, great. I'm glad you addressed Brian Branch because he can't be doing that. You can't just like walk up to a dude and knock him in their face. But can we also address the Kansas City Chiefs? Can we address that? Or I know this is a dream scenario. Are we ever going to get to the point where like refs are held accountable? Like, will they get fined for terrible calls? And didn't the NFL like from New York call in for a penalty that like wasn't called at all? Like usually they overrule them or something. Like it's bananas how many things the Kansas City Chiefs got away with in the direction of Brian Branch. So you understand his frustration. He has to channel it differently 1,000%. But nothing ever gets done with the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, last kind of quick hit topic here. So Ravens Nation Live put up this stat out of PFF. Ravens safety Malachi Starks is ranked 61st out of 79 NFL safeties. 61st. Whoa. Meanwhile, another safety that was still on the board when the Ravens selected, and everybody was talking about, should it be Malachi Starks first, or should it be Nick Emanwari? Nick Emanwari was taken by former Ravens defensive coordinator, current head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, and he's graded number 1. He is the number one safety in the NFL. I'm not saying number one among rookie safeties. He's number one among safeties. His grades, 84.8 overall, 83.5 against the run, 71.1 against the pass rush, 81.1 in coverage. And just in case you're wondering, 70 or above is, or 70 plus is above average starter. 80 plus is Pro Bowl level. Well, 61, number one. Now, maybe being with an amazing defensive coordinator like Mike McDonald is helpful, I'm sure. So maybe that's all playing into this. I haven't watched a lot of Nicky Manwari. In fact, none. I haven't watched the Seattle Seahawks at all. But I do know that Starks looks lost, and he's behind, and he's not quick to react. And I do know that the Ravens just made a trade from Odafe Owe to Alohi Gilman, in part, I'm sure, because of Starks. Although Starks did still start, and he did still play, but he's got to get better. By the way, Spencer makes a note that Kyle Hamilton didn't play a single snap of deep safety against the Rams. He had been playing deep safety 71% of the time before Sunday's change. He says Malachi Starks is going to have to come out of the bye playing more confidently in deep halves. That's where teams are going to attack. Yep. And last quick hit. Bobby Trossett this morning on Twitter gave an update, a bye week check-in from Banff. Look how beautiful that looks. Woo! And I think that's a Vault t-shirt, or a Vault sweatshirt, by the way. I like that he's representing the Vault over in Canada. Look at that lake. Look at the reflection of the mountains. See, when I tell you guys I want like a mountain dream home, maybe one that's a little bit warmer sometimes, but yes. When I grew up in Colorado and Utah, there's so many lakes you could go water skiing in. There's so many fun activities. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. We hope that Bobby's having an absolute blast and enjoying his time during this bye week, because we know that this has not been a fun season to cover so far, but we do what we have to do. All right. Do we have any more super chats here? Here we go. 2 more super chats and we'll get out here. Kilo McNair says, why is it that the 2024 Bengals is framed like, quote, it would be scary if Cincinnati made the playoffs, but it's no hope if we, meaning the Ravens, get in at the 4 or 7 seed? It's a fair question. I can only speak from my point of view, which is that I don't have much faith in the defense or the offensive line. But I didn't have much in the Bengals either. So point taken. C King is in the house and he says the ref should be fined for that Kelsey quote unquote catch. There was a lot of bad stuff. From the referees in that game. I will tell you that much. All right, guys, I've got to get out of here. I hope you enjoyed this day with me inside the vault. A lot of good stuff going over. I'm super happy for Bobby over in Banff. I will be with you one more day, and then I will be taking off to Utah for my parents' 60th wedding anniversary celebration. And I feel super lucky that I'm not joking, happened to pick this weekend, which was our bye weekend. They did not look at the Ravens schedule first, because it's literally their anniversary coming up. So sometimes things just work out. I do not have patrons today. I will have to check in with Bobby on that. But I do want to thank PRMI for sponsoring the show. I do want to thank patrons. I want to thank all of those that offered super chats. And I want to thank everybody that subscribed to the channel. I want to thank everybody that's liked the channel. And I want to thank everybody that's just listening. Appreciate your support. Glad that you could be here with me. I'm going to be listening to the coordinators and all the assistant coaches later today at 2:30. And I'll be back tomorrow at noon, same time, and react to all that and more news. Hopefully we hear some things happening inside the castle. It would be great to hear Eric DaCosta reaching out and bringing in some reinforcements. We shall see. And if it happens, I will be back here to talk with you about it tomorrow at noon. Appreciate you guys. and I will see you tomorrow.